First off, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for tonight's virtual meeting, Little Miami Joint Fire District. And with that, we have a roll call. Trustees, please.
Mr. Hirth?
Here.
Mr. Kritikos? Mr. Hudson?
Here.
Mr. Marks?
Here.
Mr. Shelton?
Here.
Ms. Taylor?
Okay. Everybody should have received a packet, and in that packet were minutes from our April 15th, 2020 trustees meeting. Do we have any corrections, deletions, additions?
Ms. Kaminer, I believe Mr. Kritikos' name is spelled incorrectly.
Okay.
I think there's a K before the O.
Is it, yes, is it that way throughout the minutes?
Yes, it looks like it.
I'll check that. Okay, thank you. I'll make that correction and make sure I look throughout the minutes for his name everywhere it might be. Thank you. You're right. There is a K missing. Okay.
That being said, I'm open for, I need a motion to approve the minutes from the April 15th, 2020 council or trustee meeting.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
The approval of the minutes from the April 15th, 2020 trustees meeting have been approved. Do we have any communications?
We do. We received a few items for this month. The first is a note from a district resident, Gwendolyn Boggs. It says, "Dear Chief and Fire Department team, just dropping in to say that each of you is in my thoughts and prayers, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. You are all greatly appreciated. Be safe, be well, Ms. Boggs." The second letter we received was from Lori Obermeyer, who I believe is a resident of Gulf Manor. Says, "Dear Fire Department, I just wanted to thank you for your great care and response to our house on April 29th. I have never gone through anything like that before and hope never to go through it again. Someone upstairs was looking out for me because my husband is rarely home that early in the day. He said that Kim was great and you all responded with tremendous care. I don't remember much other than I was feeling faint, and the next thing I knew I was being wheeled into the emergency room where I became aware. It was very scary. I have the utmost admiration of what you do every day. It takes very special people to do what you guys do, but especially in these extremely stressful and troubled times. You have my deepest gratitude. Sincerely, Lori Obermeyer." And then the third item was something that Assistant Chief Timmers provided me today. A gentleman who is a resident of Anderson Township, actually, his name is Nick Spadaccini. He's a veteran and wanted to provide some support and thank you to the fire district. So $300 in Skyline gift certificates were dropped off to distribute to fire district employees today. So a thank you, from what I understand, a thank you letter has been written to Mr. Spadaccini for that donation.
Do we know what his connection is other than that he dropped that off, either Chief or Terry?
He's a friend of the owner of the Skyline next to the firehouse on Wooster Pike there. And he wanted to do something. So like Jenny said, he wanted to give us some gift cards. And so we distributed them. And I sent a letter today thanking him for it.
Good.
Okay, any other comments? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Kaminer. On to the clerk's report.
Okay. Your packets contain the April report, so everything year to date through April the 30th. I'll go over a list of items to point out to you, starting with receipts. The first half levy receipts are in for the year. So if you're looking at the report, the first section goes over general fund. The receipts that are listed under Hamilton County is represents 11.75 mils of the levy. So everything we get in except for 2.3 mils, which is earmarked further below in the EMS ambulance fund. So the first half receipts for the general fund are a little over $969,000, as you can see on the report. And then further below, under the ambulance and EMS fund, we received in for the first half $189,099. Again, that is from the 2.3 mil portion of our levy, plus the first half stipend from Newtown for their share of the debt service. So both of those amounts in equal the 189,000 that's posted to that account. The other receipts that we get in, of course, are from our contract with Columbia Township and EMS Collections. I will note that on EMS Collections, let me go to that. That's under ambulance fund. So that's on the second page of the report. Through April 30th, we were at 46,000. And, if you project that out, that doesn't quite meet what's on our budget. However, we did have a deposit the very next day on May 1st of 16,000. So when I looked at that total compared to where we were about this time last year, we're right in the ballpark. So I'm not too concerned yet, but I don't know how collections might pan out for the whole year, especially during this pandemic. And I'm not sure if lower run volumes for the rest of the year might affect our overall EMS collections. And I'm not sure if either the chief or assistant chief can speak to that, but we'll keep an eye on that. But at this point, I'm not too concerned yet with that total. We seem to be on track. So. On expenses, for the year through April 30th, we've had 9 payrolls, and we'll have 27. I think I say that every month. We'll have 27 this year instead of the normal 26. If you're looking at all the payrolls in both general fund and in the ambulance fund, we're pretty much on track, running just a tinge high on payroll in general fund. But remember, at the beginning of the year in January, we always have that lump sum stipend that's paid out for unused vacation and sick time. And I believe that was about $17,000 that we paid out in January for that. So projecting everything out for the rest of the year based on what we spent so far, we're maybe, I don't know, $13,000 over in the general fund, but the part-time is well under. Right now, if everything stayed the same, we would be, $450,000, $500,000 at the most in part-time versus the $600,000 budgeted. And then our ambulance fund is lower as well, because again, the budget right now still contains an additional full-timer than we actually have staffed right now. So the budget had accounted for an additional full-timer that is not on the roster at this point in time. And then on other general expenses, again, you'll see some of the year-to-date expenditures are high. Election expense, that's at 100% because that's done and over. That was actually a charge from the county to us. So when they sent us our levy funds, they deducted that almost like an auditor and treasurer fee. And that was the remaining balance that we owed from the election that was run last year, the 2.0 mil levy. And some of the other line items are running a little higher because they might be some that are paid a lot in the beginning of the year, like liability insurance or dues and fees, et cetera. And some represent actually 5 months of payments versus the report only going through April, but I may have already paid the May bill. So if there's any specific questions on any of those line items, ask, and I might be able to give you some more detail on it. At the end of April, our cash carryover, our cash balance is $895,650. So at this moment in time, we're in a good position, but we've just received in all of our first half money. So from this point on now, we'll start spending that down. And then the second half receipts will come in around September. And that's usually when they come in at that time of the year. So if there's any questions on anything in the check register on particular expenses or anything on the report, please ask.
Hey, Chief, given what we're seeing on the run rate, do you see any indication that's going to change anytime soon? Because it looks like we're at about 75% on the run rate.
Yeah, eventually it'll go back. I think people, once the weather gets nice, are going to be tired of sitting at home, and we're not seeing the auto accidents like we typically would see. I foresee a spike soon.
Chief, I would like to thank you for the work that you and the assistant chief have done as far as keeping the payroll down to minimal. And I know it has a lot to do with the virus that's going on. You did say probably a month or so ago that you expect to see more runs or more staffing needed come to June, or like the summer months and everything. You still see that, or I know what you just said about runs on accidents and stuff like that, but usually during the summer we have more people outside, more people doing stupid stuff. Do you still see increase in payroll or staffing?
Yeah, absolutely. June is when we're going to start staffing back up to. We're going to shoot for 4 at each station, but we're not going to use overtime to get there. So we'll still have a minimal manning at 3. But if we can staff 4, we're short part-time guys too. We've lost some part-timers. The staffing continues to be a problem.
Okay. All right. Anybody have anything else to say about that? Okay. On old business, any old business?
Mr. Shelton, can you ask for a motion to approve the financial
Oh, I'm
report?
sorry. Yes, I need a motion to approve the financial report for April.
Make a
So
motion.
moved.
Who was that? Ron?
It was Lou. I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. The clerk's report for month of April has been approved. Old business, any old business?
I'll jump in here again. Sorry, I keep talking, but it's not listed on the agenda, but I guess here would be an appropriate time to report it. So as was discussed at the last board meeting, there has been what I'll call the fiscal subcommittee set up, and we have met. So it has been myself, Mike Lemon representing Columbia Township, and Andy Lancer with Gulf Manor. And we've so far had a couple Zoom meetings, and it's still a work in progress. Don't have really anything to report out to the board yet, but the goal of our committee is that we want to end up having some kind of written report that would hopefully list out some opportunities, possibly objectives for the district that could be potential cost savings, et cetera. We did spend really the first meeting going over a lot of data. Ahead of time, I had sent out to both of them, 3 years worth of financials and budgets, auditor levy estimates, debt service schedules, fire run reports for several years, the management partners report from years ago, contracts, et cetera. I mean, I'm sure there's other things that we have to look at that I'm forgetting, but that was the bulk of the first meeting. The second meeting was more of, talking through what we wanted to do and what we wanted to put together. I think one of the goals is we'd like to have something in place. Last time we talked was around the August timeframe, if we could. Maybe it would be helpful for whoever is going to be assigned to go into contract union negotiations to have some of these possible cost saving measures listed. But again, just wanted to make sure the board knew that that process has started. We have had a couple meetings, and I believe we meet again. I think it might be first week of June. I can't remember the exact date. I don't have it in front of me now, but we do have another one scheduled. So we're plugging away, and we hope to get some information back to the board as soon as we can.
Okay. Thank you. Any other old business? On to new business, resolution R4 2020. Scanner, can you read the heading, please?
Yes, let me get to that real quick. Okay. Resolution number 4, 2020, authorizing the board vice president to execute an amendment to the loan agreement and promissory note with the Village of Fairfax.
What this is for, after discussion with the council members from the Village of Fairfax, the Village of Fairfax has agreed to, or has made this suggestion, and hopefully it will pass it here, to defer the first payment for the $400,000 loan that Fairfax gave the fire district until 2021. With the pandemic and everything the way it's going, and we're not for sure if we're going to have any extra expenses, council approved this measure.
So this was initiated by Fairfax, not anyone on
Yes.
the
No, it's
fire district.
from Fairfax itself.
So I think the one thing is there would be this would impact the interest. There would be about $4,500 in interest added to delay it a year, correct?
No, the way it's set up, there's the interest is there's no additionally accruing interest for the year of deferral. So both the principal and interest have been deferred. The interest won't start until next year, just like it would have started this year.
I didn't understand that part.
Okay. Are you okay with it now, Lou? I mean, you understand what we're doing?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Okay. So at this time, I need a motion to approve Resolution R4, 2020. I'll make a motion to accept it, to approve it. We have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Or we should do roll call.
Sure,
Roll
okay.
call.
Roll call, Mr. Hurd,
Here,
Mr. Hudson,
Yes.
Mr. Marks,
Yes, sorry.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Ms. Taylor.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution R4, 2020 has been approved. Okay, on to fire chief's report.
Okay, the first issue were, and I'm looking away because I have my report on my other computer. We did not get the PPE grant from the state of Ohio. No one in Hamilton County got any money on that grant, so I don't know what that was about. But the good news is that it looks like the feds have dumped more money into the FEMA grants, which the two big one is the SAFER, which is staffing, and they've changed some of the rules with that SAFER grant that we're going to look into, and the fire grant, which is the equipment grant, that they're apparently going to fund a lot more than they had previously planned for fiscal year 19. So we've applied for the fire grant. They've extended the SAFER grant application, so we're going to get an application in for that. Cross our fingers. Under the COVID-19, we did have one part-time employee who was exposed without PPE on. He did the entire 14-day quarantine, was tested, and was symptom-free and tested negative. Our equipment, our supplies, our PPE supplies are holding up quite well. Through Hamilton County Fire Chiefs and Hamilton County EMA, we're going to get, every firefighter will be issued a half respirator. They're going to come out and fit test us and supply that for us. I don't have a time frame on it. It's the best I know is that I gave them the number of sizes that we needed and it's on order. Staffing, we lost two of our full-timers, which is not a surprise, Casey Baum and Charlie Waghorn. They are officially gone. I made tentative job offers to the next two on the list, just waiting on their results of their physicals, which is how we do it. I don't suspect any problem, and they'll be onboarded in the next week. With those two guys leaving, we have a lieutenant's position open. I talked to Mr. Marks. He's going to come and help with the process. We have to follow the CBA and our SOGs as far as promoting someone, and we're going to follow that process. But that's going to be done relatively quickly because we have a vacuum now in leadership on one of the days. I am meeting with Charlotte from Haran tomorrow we started the process about a month ago for health insurance renewal, and we have a meeting set up tomorrow, and I'll have a tentative idea of what direction it looks like we're headed in for that. And that's all I have. Unless
Chief, I
anyone
do
has
have
questions.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
You said that you and Mr. Marks are going to do interviews for the lieutenant?
There's only one person eligible, but because of the CBA, we have to jump through the hoops. So
I understand that, but did you make the decision for you and Mr. Marks? Shouldn't that be brought before the board and the board make a decision on who's going to do the interviews before you do this?
I didn't know there was a policy on it.
I don't have a problem with Mr. Marks doing it. I just think that it should have been brought before the board and the board made a decision on who was going to do the interviews.
Is that how we did it when we did it last time?
I thought the board had, I know that when, this might have been before Mr. Hoops became on, that we had two members from the board that did interviews along with the chief. And that's before I was president and everything. So it's just I thought it was a normal practice that you brought it before the board. The board would choose who's going to be there and go from there.
I've never brought it for the board for either promotion or for full-time hiring process.
Like I said, I don't have a problem with Mr. Marks doing it. But I think in the future that you should bring it before the board so the board can put the people on.
Okay.
All right.
Someone else, Carson, if you want someone else to do this.
No, Mark or Lou, I have no problems with you doing it. I just think we should be doing it the right way. And the right way would be the board to make a decision on who's going to be on it. I don't have a problem with you doing it. It's okay with me, but I just think we need to make sure that we're doing it the proper way as far as bringing it before the board it's board's decision. So.
No, this is just being handled the way it was when we were interviewing for potential candidates, which is we look at candidates and then if we have candidates have to come on, then the board has to approve or, we swear them in or whatever before the board. So right. This is just the preliminary process, but there's only one candidate. So
like I said, I don't have a problem with you doing it, Lou. That's not the issue. I just want to make sure that when we do it, whatever we're doing it the proper or in the way it should be done. So that being said, is there anything else from the chief's report? Chief, do you have anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. All right. Any board of trustees discussion?
I'd like to tell the chief thank you for contacting Horan to start working on the health benefits package. When you and I first met, you talked about that was your plan to get out ahead of that. So it's good to hear that you guys are in process on that. So I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board discussions? Okay. Do we have any open discussions? Which is, I know. So, okay. This time we're on for adjournment. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion.
Anybody else? Second?
I'll second.
Okay. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.